Before I start my video, I just wanted to let you know that I actually do have a Discord server that some of you may not know about. I do have a Road to Survival section, as you can see, and where I share my own content here. I also have a chat section where you can just talk about the game, share your polls, ask for team build help, and much more. There are also some other sections on the Discord if you want to share some stuff, from Walking Dead comic chat, sharing pictures of pets, arts and crafts, or just general chit chat. The link to my Discord is in my description if you want to join it. Now on to the video. Hello survivors, and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. And in this video we're going to be taking a look at the balancing update that is coming to Lilly, the new S-Class character that is involved in the House of Cards event. There have been some tweaks that Scopely have made to make her a little bit stronger than she was before. So we'll read through the post. It says, S-Class Lilly balancing update. S-Class Lilly will be receiving a buff to her active skill, and it will be live in-game in the next few hours. We'll be updating S-Class Lilly's active skill to provide a 100% heal reduction, which is increased up from 50%, and the initial turn cooldown has been reduced from 3 turns to 2 turns. The original design intent for the character was to offer a much more powerful combination with her adrenaline rush. We felt that in the current meta, the active skill heal reduction was too small and came in a turn too late to offer the desired effect. We hope this change will prove a positive change to your team setups, and as usual, thank you for sharing all your thoughts and suggestions with us. So if we look at Lilly in game, her active has already gone live. This has already changed. It has now gone to an initial cooldown of 2, and the heal reduction has gone up to 100%. So very small change, but how much of an impact is that going to have? My initial complaints about Lilly were quite simple, in the fact that a lot of teams you'll be rushing before she'll actually be able to get this active off on turn 3, whereas now you'll be able to do this active turn 2. She kind of now makes me think of an Ivanova, in a way Ivanova can buff the early rushes with Doc Stevens teams on turn 2 with her 25% attack increase. Lilly here is pretty much doing the same thing, but with defense down instead. I would say the attack up is probably nicer in terms of, like, it's a better guarantee, because with the defense down you can only guarantee defense down on one character. The second one is RNG. However, the defense down is stronger because minus 50% defense is better than 25% attack. The ongoing issue with me though is that Lilly is going to replace a character that otherwise would be very important for my attack teams. As you can see in the team that I've put together here, there's no princess, and that means that any team I run into that has a very powerful specialist on the defense team, I'm going to be in a little bit of trouble. So potentially I might want to swap out Arav for princess, but if I do that, I'm not even using any fast characters in the first place, and it just seems like a waste. You see the issue I'm having? You may think, hey, why don't you just drop Dr. Stevens or Rick? First turn control is so important, and unless you have it in elsewhere, you kind of need it on an attack team just to stop Dr. Stevens teams. And Dr. Stevens still is everywhere on defense teams. So I think something that Lilly could have offered that would have made her a bit more useful, for me at least, would have been this, where I could have had an extra 60% AP to 2 teammates on turn 2, and that basically means I could have replaced Doc Stevens on that attack team and then brought in someone else to do first turn control, someone like maybe Cole, and then I could use Princess, Arav and Priya in the same lineup with Lilly as the leader, which I can't currently do. Another option for Lilly would have been making it so that her active was turn 1 and removing the bonus AP to self and making it so it was an actual control rather than the heal reduction, which is not really controlling characters as much as just reducing the incoming healing. Something along the lines of like a line impair or a line taunt, or something quite very small, kind of very controlled, because line is very controlled. There's no RNG in there, but if there's only one character, like if you wanted to do it to the central character, it's only going to be a 1 character control. And that way you could stop Dr. Stevens from rushing turn 1 and get around those annoying quick AP gain teams. So as it stands for me, it does make a nice change for Lilly, and I think it's going to be great for anyone who does get Lilly and makes a team with her as a leader. But I don't really think it makes much difference for me personally, because I'm still not going to use her just because I have got better options currently. The downside now is where I saw her being quite viable if you didn't want to use on an attack team was potentially on a defense team, because main damage can be quite useful there. You'd have to not increase her active skill too much, you know, to get that starting cooldown to turn 4, and that way she'd rush before she'd do her active. So if you do want to primarily use her on a defense team, don't touch the active at all, because she can do quite a lot of damage. Even though it's only single target, she can take a character out. A lot of S-class characters only have between 3.5 and 4,500 HP on the attack team, so she would one-shot the majority of characters. And as you can see, behind an Aaron lead on a defense team, she's got 9,000 defense and nearly 9,000 HP with the mod setup and weapon I've gone for. So it's really easy to make her really defensive, and because she doesn't gain any bonuses from her attack stat on that rush, you don't have to raise it at all. She's only got it raised there because she is using a 1535 weapon in her hands right now, which you don't actually have to use. You could use 5% bonus HP every turn, and that would be really, really strong. So that is obviously Lilly, and she is obtainable in the House of Cards event, and I do see some people right now complaining about the House of Cards event being a bit too convoluted, and personally I haven't found the House of Cards event too bad so far. It is quite heavy energy consumption. You're doing, 120 energy a day on this roadmap. Can be pretty difficult just to keep up the energy here, and then obviously just doing the deck roadmap as and when you get the 30 or 60 cards, depending on how often you want to do it and depending on which one you want to go for. My progress so far isn't too bad. I haven't really been pushing it too hard. I've done the Dex roadmap twice, so I've got my 30 Jack of Spades, and I've done the Queen roadmap twice, and obviously got my 30 Queens as well, and I got 5 extras drop. On my other region I have got, I think, 60 Queens, so sometimes if you get lucky and you get a 20 drop, you're going to get quite a big advantage there. It is a shame that I can't hand in Kings for anything other than the gear tokens. I'm having to hand in Jacks and Queens for the Aces when I'm getting a massive excess of Kings, and those ones I'm not really getting much of an excess for. So even if it was a limited to like 2 hand-ins to get 50 Aces would be actually pretty nice, but that's the way it is. You need to get excess Queens and excess Jacks so that you can trade them for Aces in the black market, and that's how you get the Aces. I believe you need to get 160 excess to get enough to get Lilly. If we look at the deck here, you can see here you can get 10 Aces of Spades by trading in Jacks or Queens for those Aces. So over the course of the entire 28-day event, I don't see this being an issue, particularly just to get Lilly herself. I don't think that's going to be too hard. It's if you want to go for the big crate, for instance, this will be very difficult to do otherwise. You're going to have to get quite lucky, burn a lot of cannons on that map, because they do drop from stages, and that is pretty much the best hope you have of getting these. If you go to the stages in cards, if you actually complete this stage, you will generally get the 10s of Spades, but you could potentially get Queens, and you can potentially get Jacks as well. I do like the fact that in the black market as well, when the end of the event comes, any excess cards you get, you can easily just trade in for these epic tokens, and you can get pulls on the wheel here, which is going to be an epic wheel, which is guaranteed epic gear. There's only going to be 6 pieces on here. It's going to be the watches, radios, and then 1 for each trait. As you can see, 100% chance of epic gear, which is great. That one for Kings, you get 3,500 per 25. As we see in the actual flushes hand in, I have got over 200 already. If I can find it. There we go. I've got over 200 already, because those are the ones you get from milestones, and we're only like 4 or 5 days into the event. By the end of the event, I will have thousands, most likely, and that means any excess I'm going to be handing in the black market in this card section. I'll potentially be getting 35 or maybe even more pulls if I hand in some extras over here, if I've got some extras over here. I doubt I'm going to have many, because the cards here required are quite high. 30 Jacks and Queens is quite a large number. That's almost like getting a flush there, so it's unlikely that I'm going to have the sort of excess there, but I'm definitely going to have King excess when it comes to the end of the event. So lots of pieces of gear there. So those are the changes to Lilly. Like I said, if you do plan to use her on a defense team, do not raise her active at all. But if you are planning to use her on an attack team, it could be worthwhile, because that defense down is very strong. The right character setup, if you are using fast characters, for instance, on that attack team, a Heng Yen, you'll be able to take someone out even with a basic attack. The rush will be destructive, and if you have got the 100% crit rate on Heng Yen, that's an instant decap as well. So regardless of who you attack, pretty much in that situation with his rush, he should be taking him out and then not getting back up. But that is going to be the end of my video, guys. Do tell me what you think about the changes to Lilly. Is it going to change how you feel about her as a character? Are you going to, more likely to go for her now? Are you planning to use her? What sort of team are you going to plan to use her in? Attack? Defense? What sort of characters are you going to be using next to her? It is always interesting to know how you guys are going to utilize these sort of characters. Do leave me a comment down below, and if you have any trouble with the House of Cards event, do jump on my Discord. There'll be someone to help out, myself included. That is the end of my video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.